Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is now episode 2 of the Achievement Rush series and time for a little catch up. So achievement points 9,230, we're very close to that 10k, at which point I will get this other achievement to help me along. Where is it? This one. 13 million experience and 43,000 commas, which is pretty cool, and a nice ornament. What did I do to get this? I completed my exploration 100%. All I have left is one area and I'll have all my exploration achieved. Other than that, I went and did dungeons. I finished Pandala once. I wish there was a separate section for Pandala just so I could show you, but I went through and I did them all except one. Well, okay, let me explain. So I went through and I did all of them with idle score, except one of them I couldn't do it with idle score. So Valley of the Lady of the Water, I did it full achievements, idle score. Tenno Koi-san, you guys saw last episode, I did it in 2 runs, full achievement and idle score. Then what do we got? I got a couple more. The Wind Dojo here, I did it full achievement, idle score. Now the one that I couldn't do with the idle score is this one with the Foxwork Factory, because if you guys have done this one, it is quite annoying. Now I do have these recorded and I'm gonna show you, but before I want to ask you guys, do you guys notice a sound difference? Hopefully you do. I spent a lot of time fixing up my mic. But here's the thing. So while setting up the new settings for my microphone on my recording software, I ended up accidentally switching the video recording settings. Now it's too late for me to change that. Now next episode's going to be this sound. Well, the next episode's going to look like this, because right now I'm recording in the correct video and audio quality. The episode that you guys are about to see is going to be in full audio quality, but the video quality is going to be a bit lacking, and I'm well aware next episode's going to be good on both ends. And that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me do those dungeons. Alright, here we go. So we're going to start a quick run through of the Pandala dungeons. Now there are 5 Pandala dungeons aside from the ones on Nollyfist Island, but like the main island itself has 5. This one here's the Demetria dungeon. I'm going to go through them in order of easiest to most difficult. This one is the most simple, and it was fairly simple. There was no real mechanic there was no invulnerability, nothing like that. We can't just hit the mobs and it went through. Now I'm not really doing tutorials on the dungeon per se, but I'll give you a brief idea of how the dungeon is supposed to be run, or the general tactic that's supposed to be approached. This one, as I said, there's not really anything to it. Kind of just hit the mobs and it goes by fairly smoothly. This fight, it's only going to be on screen for 30 seconds and accelerated. It was a fairly short fight and it went by very easily. Next one, we have this one, the Lady of the Shape of the Water. Now this one was a little bit more particular. So you can see that the dungeon boss instantly gets teleported to this island at the top where she's by herself, and you can't hit her because it's long range invulnerability. The only way to go there is to line up that water bomb thing that you can see my mouse going over, the one here in the middle right, or mostly in like the middle of the screen. If you put that on the edge towards the Lady of the Shape of the Water, go in close combat and hit it, you will be teleported to the other side. So it should be demonstrated in a second. Basically it's summoned by one of the mobs and you just kind of go next to it. You'll see here, and if you go next to it and you hit it in close combat, you'll be teleported towards the lady over there. And you're just gonna have to hit in close combat because she's long range and vulnerable. Now you'll see in a second the technique that I use to kill her is actually bombs. So a little known fact about rogue bombs is that if they are next to you and they explode, it counts as close combat damage. So you'll see here in a sec, I'm gonna hit it, teleports me to the other side. I just put a gluing sticky bomb and I put the bombs around her, and the thing is, once those bombs explode next turn, because I'm gonna make them explode, even though I'm far away, the bombs are at her contact. They're right next to her. So that makes them count as close combat damage, which means that the damage still goes through. You'll see, we get teleported back at the start of our turn, but we can just come back. I boost my bombs, explode everything. And once everything's exploded, you're teleported back to where you were. And just to make sure that we hit the achievement, Faint-Hearted, which is you can't end next to the mobs, I killed the water bomb. And we're just making sure to use all of our MP every turn. And it goes by fairly smoothly with no problems. Next up here is the Wind Dojo. Now the Wind Dojo was a little bit interesting, it took a lot of tries. The main issue was for us was the idols, because the close combat well, the idols that we used, we had a lot of oaths, and we kind of couldn't get around it. There was no other idols that made it that kind of work, because we needed to score 200, right? And the thing is, it's fine if you can avoid them, but this dungeon boss, even though he only has 5 MP, he can boost himself a lot of MP. Sometimes he gets like plus 4 MP, and he attracts in a straight line, like a long distance attraction. So it can get a little bit difficult. So the particularity of this boss is that it splits damage with another one of the mobs. So there's one, so the one is the Hanshi and the other one's the Shihan, right? The Hanshi is technically the dungeon boss, and the achievements to the dungeon are last and tight. I think it couldn't have been tight. Damn it, I forgot. Oh no, last and whichever one it is that you're not allowed to end next to the mobs. I think that's what it is. So anyways, yeah, you got the two of them there, and they split damage, and the particularity is that one of them reduces range damage by 50%, and the other one reduces close combat damage by 50%. So you kind of have to manage your damage. The main technique that I will advise for you guys, if you're doing the achievements here, is quite simply... Oh wait, what was I saying? No, what did I say the achievements were? The achievements were actually last and not ending next. What? I don't know, man. I'm confusing myself. Anyways, sorry about that. Right, so my main advice for you guys is kind of keep the Hanshi away, because he hits really hard and in close combat. But if you keep him away and you hide behind the lines so he can't attract you behind the walls, you'll be kind of safe. We did the Xeller rogue combo, and it was quite simple to keep them away, and then just kind of focus on hitting the other one over there. I recommend using Ebony, because by using Ebony you can put poisons on the other one to make sure that it dies first. And then through that, you can make sure that you achieve the achievement being last. Kind of went by with no problems, but it took a lot of tries to kind of get it right, because we kept dying. But the Ebony hack kind of helped us through it. Any other advice I can offer for you guys? I think make sure you have classes that have high mobility for this dungeon. Definitely need high mobility, and preferably something with high damage, but I think most classes can do pretty good damage nowadays. Other than that, there's not much to the dungeon. We just kept pushing them back and all that. And it's worth noting, the person that I did all these dungeons with is my buddy West. He also has a YouTube channel. If you guys want to check it out, it will be the first link in the description. He does sort of PVM videos. He's done, I think, a video on line of sight, which was very interesting. He's done a couple of different videos, so if you guys want to check him out, feel free to. And we kind of did all these dungeons together. Now I'll just let the rest of the fight play out, and then we'll pick up for the last dungeon. Alright, and here we go. So for the final dungeon, we got the Foxwork Factory. Now you guys are probably going to want to rewatch this fight twice, because I think it's very interesting. It's one of the most interesting dungeons that I've done in a while. It's kind of a mini game, more so than a dungeon. Feels more like a quest fight than a dungeon, but it's a dungeon. It's level 140, and it's surprisingly difficult for a level 140 dungeon. I saw a lot of people inside the dungeon just repeating fights, and honestly it took us quite a few tries, so I don't necessarily blame them. Now the main technique of the fight, well, the whole principal idea of the fight is that you see there are candles here all around, and they are all invulnerable. There's those 6 with like the burning lights, and basically the dungeon boss, at the end of his turn, he'll summon glyphs. You see those blue glyphs on the floor. Right now there's one near the middle of the map. If I step on it like I just did now, it gives me a state where if I go to the brown square next to one of those lights, it'll turn off the light. And your goal is to turn off all the lights before turn 7, and that will make the mobs vulnerable, because all the mobs are invulnerable until you do this. So all the lights are on, right? At the end of each turn, the dungeon boss will put a couple glyphs out, and each glyph will give you one state. You can't stack them though. So once you get it, and then you go on one of the torches and you turn it off, you'll see it's going to turn off. Boom, I just did a dirty trick, turned off that torch, and I ran towards the other one. And once it's off, but they'll all come back on at turn 7. And if you haven't turned them all off by then you're going to really struggle for the fight. So just make sure they're all turned off by that turn. The dungeon achievements that we had were close, and whichever one is not to end next to the enemy. So we're not close, sorry, tight. So you gotta end next to an ally, and you can't end next to an enemy. They're kind of okay. I recommend you use the Abyssal Dofus for this quest fight, and I also recommend you use the Coco because you're going to be have to tanking a lot. You don't really have enough time to heal yourself and stuff because you're going to be focused on movement. Make sure, again, you need a class with high mobility. Xelor was perfect and Rogue was perfect. The main technique that we took is I kind of did a loop around the left in a clockwise rotation, and he did a loop from the right in a counterclockwise rotation, and we kind of just turned off the lights in that way. And we ended up getting them all off, and once you're all off, the next turn that the dungeon boss plays, he's gonna make everyone vulnerable, and then he's gonna go invisible for one turn, and after that it's just easy pickings. You just kind of gotta kill them one by one, and you'll see it go smoothly. And just to make sure I didn't miss anything, so you gotta turn them all off, yep, and then you gotta step on those glyphs. Now some of the mobs will put you in gravity state, which is difficult, especially for our Xelor, but I recommend every turn block the line of sight if you can. Now the Xelor use this dial every turn, and I use the bomb every turn. Just block line of sight. Helps you tank a little bit because you don't get hit as much, and it helps you avoid that gravity state, which is useful even for me because I had to dirty trick a few times and stuff. If you really want to learn this fight, I recommend rewatch it. You might pick up a few tricks. For example, I would put latent bombs on the glyph that I'm supposed to go to, and then next turn I can just dirty trick right onto it, or I can imposture. With Rogue it's fairly easy because even with gravity state I can do ruse and stuff. But anyways, that's enough for the fight presentation. If you guys have any more questions, you can ask me in the comments. I'll definitely answer for you guys. And just enjoy the rest of the fight.
You see, stereophonic sound for the home is recorded on two separate tracks, each one giving special emphasis to certain sections of the orchestra, as heard from those positions. Now, when played back simultaneously on two separate systems, the sounds are blended together to achieve a new dimension in sound, impossible to obtain in a monaural recording.
And that was it for the day. After that, I did a little bit of questing, ran around a little bit. I actually finished up my Doppel achievement. I was telling you guys about it yesterday. Where is it? So quests, no, it would be monsters, Doppels. So you can see here 100%. I finished up my Ujinak. And that's kind of where we are at now. I hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps support the channel. And I will see you next time. Have a great day and goodbye.